My name is Hugh Kingsley. I'm the director of the Brainary, and in Australia we are the distributor for KUBO, the amazing coding platform for early years. And I have great pleasure in introducing Prabin Hansen, who is an education expert from KUBO, and he's going to show us just how easy it is to teach coding with KUBO.
I will start a bit actually high level and why I think computational thinking and coding is actually an important skill actually to understand and to be taught. Here you see the United Nations world goals, and some of them we can solve basically by changing our lifestyle. But a lot of them are hugely dependent on technology that does not exist today or is under development today. And without these new technologies, that is very often based on a basic understanding or a very good understanding of technology, we will simply not be able to solve all of these. During these last 20 years, for me, it's been, I experienced a lot that we see people do not question when they have to learn a new language, as an example in the middle. It's based on step by step. It's simply about learning the letters, the phonetics. It's about putting words together and then sentences, and then you start actually to feel more and more comfortable in mastering a new language. Could be for me English or Spanish, German. In the same way as you decide actually to want to learn to play an instrument, could be a guitar or piano, whatever. Again, you are basically forced to learn music notes. And you know that it is a bit of hard work in the beginning because you simply need to learn the notes before you actually can start playing music, but you accept it. Math, the same. I mean, it's about learning the numbers, then multiply, divide, and so forth. And I think that very often we are not really start with basically have up the barriers and say, okay, I can't do it, because you simply have the motivation to start actually to learn it, whatever it's math, a language, or play music. But from my side, the whole purpose with our concept is simply to start as young as possible with children. Not too young, because there is, of course, a limit. But what we really have tried to do is to remove the barriers. And one of the barriers that I've been facing for many years is that when you start in second, third, fourth grade introducing coding, it ends out being kind of a tech area that is only for boys. But when you start earlier, then you don't see that actually split between that this is for boys and this is for girls. I mean, they just accept it. They're curious. They don't have the same barriers or limitations. They just feel the eager actually to start. And that's why we have been focusing on developing a solution that actually can take coding and computational thinking down to a very early age. We also are in the opinion that, or I am the opinion that we need to make the children empowered and feel empowered and basically not only understand the technology, but also be in control of the technology. Talking about coding, then for me, it's a unique language. And the reason why we can move down in age with is also that it's non-verbal in a way. And the concept we have is actually basically block-based or icon-based. But coding is also the language that actually connects human beings with robots or technology. If we look across a number of subjects, then very often it's about right or wrong. And what I like, and which I think is a glory of coding, is that it's okay to fail. because it's basically a process where you maybe set up a hypothesis, you do kind of a programming, you test it out, and you will either figure out that yes, it did exactly what I expected, or I actually have to adjust here and there. You adjust, you test it again, adjust again, improve, and so forth. I would like to show about the product here, and then I can do if you like, I could do a very short presentation of the physical products, so you just see how it works basically. If you look at the table here, then basically we have these, and this basically means that it means start recording, and then here we have decided that maybe it's better to turn it this way, that first thing you do is to move right, then afterwards you move forward, then you move left, and then you move forward again, and then stop recording. We just place KUBO here, and what KUBO is doing now is that it's recording it by passing each of the tactiles, and then it's completing. If we're not giving children all the answers, but if we simply forgot that start recording and then no stop recording, then KUBO would just end the recording line and flash red and said something is wrong. You're not getting the answer, but again, children should then figure out what is wrong. The next step you do, because now you have been recording it, and now you don't, I mean, you simply place it on this play tactile, and that means that now it should actually execute the programming. So KUBO will now and complete. And when you look at KUBO here, then it's not a huge speed on KUBO, and that's by purpose, because compared with if we take bbot, which is a very simple product, we want that the children at the same time can follow when it's executing the coding and actually following each of the programming steps in their programming line. And in that way, actually also clearly figure out that, okay, it did not go from let's say the sandbox to the fireplace as I expected. Where is it? Am I missing then an additional forward before I move it? I mean, it should turn to the left and so forth. So this is just a basic function line. Then we have we could also do the same, but we will actually decide to use a loop instead. So I can decide that I want actually it to move right and forward X number of times, and I could say 8 times, and then stop. Or I could decide that it should do that first and then to the left, and then again based on the exercise which is linked to the curriculum we have developed. And then because it's a new programming line, we have to record it again. And children will learn here exactly the same as if they were working later on, 5 years later with Python, or 3 years later, that you start a loop, you close a loop. If you start a loop and don't close it. So the parameter here, and then suddenly you will see also that's a lot of math, where multiplying is not something you have learned in 1st and 2nd grade necessarily, but a loop is about doing something X number of times, which is the same as multiplying. So coding is also about understanding a lot of pattern, and is clearly very closely related to math in a way also. So now we'll do it again, and I think that it moves right first. I will just start it here. And now it will simply that could be one of the exercises. You need to use a loop. You need actually to program it. So it's moving around the fireplace 2 times in total. How can you do that in the most effective way? And that's basically about saying, right, it could also have started with forward and then right, or forward and left. Then it's just based on where you should place it, at what field it should place it. But 8 times, then it will probably stop here, and then it's actually doing the left and then forward. So again, where we now introduce a loop in it. Then there's also a coding concept called a subsequence, subroutines. And subroutines is what you very often also have to do to actually break down your programming into programming lines, because else it's simply getting too complicated or too difficult actually to master. So a way of doing that could be that first thing we wanted actually to move right and then 2 forward and then stop. And the second afterwards, we wanted then to go right or left, sorry, and then stop. These 2 lines we actually want to do in one go. So how do we do that? We basically say that what should it do first? We actually decide that it should, oh, sorry, it, so the first thing we do is actually that basically we record this line first. So that line tells us that KUBO should go left and forward. And then we record this afterwards, where we basically say the first thing that KUBO should do is to go right, forward, forward, and then it should actually do the play here. And the play is linked to, it will do this afterwards, and then it will stop. So that's how you actually can take where you can break your programming or your coding into some lines and connect them afterwards. And the last thing we now have to do is, and now I'm not been programming in specific to move from A to B or something, but you'll just see that the first thing it will do, and I probably have to move now, forward and then left and forward and stop. But I hope you have got a basic understanding, at least, of KUBO. But equally important, also, why I think that computational thinking is a very important skill that our children should acquire, and hopefully that our whole school system will adopt. Even that sometimes it can seem like a mission impossible, because teachers do not have the right skill sets. They'll probably say they have not got the education of it, but I still think that there's a lot of opportunities for actually adapt these solutions and give children the possibility actually to work with coding.